Obviously, a difficult weekend for you. After the emotion kind of died down and you had the chance to analyse it in the cold light of day, is there anything else that you can pinpoint that went wrong in the second half on Saturday?
No, I mean, I think sometimes when you have time to reflect, you sometimes get to a different opinion, and then at times your gut was right, and I think we probably our initial analysis and opinion that we offered over after the game was probably accurate. We were a good first half, played well. In the second half, our response to adversity wasn't good enough in terms of the discipline we lost within all aspects of performance. So I think that was a fair criticism of the players at the time, a fair criticism of all of us at the time, sorry, players and staff. And I think this week it was about, I think, making sure that we all understood that and accepted it as a fair criticism of our own performances within it. And the next part is then putting it right, and we'll have an opportunity, obviously, immediately on Wednesday evening to do that.
Yeah, you've spoken a lot about the mentality in terms of getting the players used to the demands of a club like Hibs and competing for trophies in Europe, and you said they've largely stood up to that this season with good league performances, played well against Celtic and Rangers as well. Was Saturday a step back in any way for you?
No, I think it is if you allow it to be. I think it is painful and sore and frustrating, and frustration at a missed opportunity, because we feel as if we were in a good place to take the opportunity. And by that, I'm not talking about teams left the competition or anything like that. I'm just talking about being in another semi-final and wanting to get to a final and win it. So I think we can't allow it to be a step back. The way what we've got to make sure is a motivation for us to continue to trying to get to that stage of the tournament and then make that next step further. And then in terms of the league, ensure that we don't come out of that position we've been in all season. We stayed in the top four all season to date, and we've got to make sure that we at least remain there and push as high up in that part of the table as we can.
Is there now a bit more pressure to beat Rangers than there otherwise might have been, or certainly maybe not to beat them to get something from the game?
No, I mean, I genuinely don't feel any difference in pressure in any game because of the demands that I put on myself and the squad of players to be the best they can be every single day. So I think that I know people from the outside will believe that if you're winning games week in, week out, they think there's less pressure to win the next one. But there isn't, and there shouldn't be. It should be the same demands you put on yourself every single week, regardless of whether you're playing well, poorly, or average. So the expectations that I put upon myself and the players to produce something good tomorrow evening and produce a result is exactly the same as it would have been at any point in the season.
Jack, you're obviously still very much in the hunt for third place. Do you think if you could achieve that this season, that would placate or satisfy the fans that are unhappy with another, obviously, semi-final chance going to miss?
I don't think you can. I think supporters are entitled to be frustrated or disappointed or angry at not progressing to the cup final. But as I keep tempering a little bit, the fact we have to get to that stage of the tournament, we've done that in the two cup competitions today that I've been involved in. And then the league position higher, finishing higher up the league is about us trying to first of all be in a position we've not been in for a few years as a club, and then try and develop that consistency being there. So our responsibility week in, week out is to win games, particularly for supporters at this time where they can't be inside stadiums. I wouldn't ever say accept one success as compensation for a failure or a disappointment. I think that we're just duty bound to try and bring them success as consistently as we can.
There's obviously been quite a bit of criticism of the team over the last couple of days. I just wonder if you'd seen the comments from Charlie Adam where he named guys like Ryan Porteous, Paul Hanlon, Lewis Stevenson. He said that he just didn't see there's enough quality in there with the likes of those guys. I just wonder if you wanted to respond to those kind of comments.
He said, what? Sorry, I didn't hear the last part. With having quality.
He said that we talk about likes of Porteous, Hanlon, Stevenson. They've been there a long time, but I just don't see enough quality in there. Is that something you think is fair criticism?
Well, I think if he's talking about those players and he's named those players, and that's two players that have been in the Scotland squad this season, that Steve Clarke saw fit to be in the Scotland squad, and a guy who's the most decorated player in the club's history. So I'll just let the facts speak for themselves.
And could you just check the squad news for tomorrow night? How's your team looking for?
Yeah, so Joe Newell still out. No fresh injury concerns from the weekend, so just Joe remains only absentee.
Jack, sorry to go back to what you were saying there, but I appreciate you said there's no difference in pressure, whatever game, because you always put pressure on yourself to win matches, and that even though it's 3 semi-final losses in a row for Hibs, it's not necessarily a duck you have to break. Do you feel that by beating teams like Rangers, Celtic in games like tomorrow night, that can almost give you more confidence when you get to that stage again, if you do get to that stage, whether it be in this Scottish Cup or next season's League Cup?
I don't know if it would necessarily make a difference in terms of one-off cup ties. I think that what it does do is continue to strengthen the belief of the group as a whole. So if you can go and beat the top teams in the league, then I think it because it's okay talking about and having part belief that you're a good team. You have to go and show it by producing results and against the better teams in the league. So I understand what you're saying, but I think in terms of the context of cup competition, I think that'll always be in its own merits. But I think certainly in terms of growing the belief within the squad, the more good results you can have against the top teams in the league, the better.
Rangers are flying at the moment. How big a task do you have to beat them tomorrow night?
Well, the plaudits I've received today have been thoroughly deserved because the league record's outstanding, and we've had that challenge already twice this season. The league record hasn't dipped at any point, and the level of performance and result hasn't dipped. So it's the same challenge we're facing the 2 games today. And the 2 games, I feel as if we've been highly competitive in. Obviously, the draw at Easter Road and then the narrow defeat on Boxing Day. I think both games we were pleased with our performance. Felt like we were very much in the game and obviously took something from one of them. Felt as if we could have taken something from the second one. So we need to replicate that type of performance again tomorrow evening. Yeah,
both really good games between the two sides. When it comes to a game like that, when they are playing so well, and obviously you've been in good form all season, especially at home, is it the kind of game where it's about stopping them, or is it more you imposing your style on them and dominating the game?
Well, I think that what Rangers have is a consistency in how they play and their style and their setup, and I think when they're winning most weeks, they can be justified in doing that. So I think we have been quite consistent in our preparations for playing against them in both games, and that has been aimed at being respectful of the threat they pose, but equally trying to be as creative as we can. And I think in both games we have created opportunities, obviously scored twice in the home game, but I think even Ibrox felt as if we had spells in the game where not only did we create, but we had a lot of the ball. So in that respect, we feel as if we've got the balance right in the 2 games, and as I said, it's about making sure we do that again tomorrow evening.
Jack, can I just ask you about the pitch at Easter Road? I know you commented it after the Kilmarnock game. Steven Gerrard said that it was something he'd take into consideration in his squad and maybe even his 11. Would you go that far? Is that something you're having to think of as well, or do you not think it's that bad?
We obviously, because we're not based there, I haven't seen it since post-Kilmarnock, but certainly Kilmarnock, it wasn't good. And I think I spoke in the aftermath of that game about us having to adjust our approach at half-time in that game. So, we are aware of it, and it's something I think you have to adjust to. I think it's common sense that it dictates that you have to adapt to conditions at times, and right now our pitch isn't in the best condition, which will determine the way in which you play at times as well.
Just coming up to the end of January, are you happy with how your sort of squad sits at the moment, going into the second half of the season?
Yeah, well, obviously we managed to recruit Jackson and Chris and Mark Macy relatively early in the window, and said at the time I felt as if that gave us more depth in certain areas and has improved us. We've not got anything imminent. It's not to say there won't be any movement between now and the end of the month and a few days that remain, but if the window was to close tomorrow, I think we'd be okay with where we're at.
Just as well, obviously, it's just broke there that Davy Martindale's passed his sort of fit and proper persons test. Are you happy to see him sort of be able to continue the good job he's doing at West Lothian?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think he's the job he's done today is remarkable, and he's deserved all the plaudits he's received so far. He's somebody that I've been quite familiar with over the last few years because he's he was assistant manager, obviously, at Livingston when I was at St Mirren. So I've come up against him a lot. I've enjoyed it, and pleased that he's obviously been given this opportunity to continue as manager. Said he continues in the vein that he's in at the moment, then he'll be top manager as well.
Just obviously, it probably sends a good message to sort of coaches coming from sort of unconventional ways into coaching, not through the traditional routes, that he can be sort of an inspiration almost for people from similar backgrounds.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think just in terms of coaching. I think in all walks of life, I think that rehabilitation and second chance is something that people speak about, but there has to be proof of that as well. And I think that's what Davey is. So I would probably broaden out from coaching to kind of day-to-day life, and the fact that you can, I think as Davey's admitted to, you can try and learn from mistakes and turn your life around. And he's obviously managed to do that in terms of specific to football. But I would say he would probably see that in life in general.